Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Revolutionary Theater Workshop's second August Melanated Monday. My name is Bianca, and I will be your MC. For this month's show, we have 3 insightful plays by BRTW's community members and a special community conversation. Before we jump into programming, I want to take some time to tell you who we are and what we're doing this month, starting with our mission statement. BRTW exists to disrupt any and all oppressive systems that marginalize Black people using narrative and performance as a methodology to recenter Black people and experiences. With economic, social, educational, healthcare, housing, and political injustice facing our community, BRTW aims to tackle the issues that impact us while becoming a beacon for Black opportunity within the arts. Melanated Mondays are a monthly writing and performance salon highlighting a different theme at the intersection of Black justice and civic engagement. This month's theme is community. Black people have survived for centuries by cultivating strong communities, especially within a system that continues to try to alienate people from one another. The nourishing of community is pivotal. As we have many new members of BRTW, this Melanated Monday seeks to get to know our new members and unpack the community and what it looks like. Rather than having a guest speaker, today's conversation will feature the actors who perform in today's program. And with that, let's get started. Our first show will be Madonna, or by H. Harvey. Stage directions will be read by Cyril. Audrey will be played by Dewey. Wardle will be played by Zavi, and Sam will be played by Akemini. Trigger warnings include strong language, discussion of harassment, and mentions of sharing sexually explicit content without consent.
An austere, probably academic, though not impersonal, office. A man sits behind a desk. Another official stands nearby. Audrey enters.
Audrey.
He stands.
President Crawford.
Audrey, please. Wardle.
Please, Mr. President, it's customary to use honorifics with lawyers present.
Audrey.
Sam.
So it's not a social call.
You don't say.
It's just...
The university has been made aware of your recent legal troubles.
We'd like to extend some options in light of these unpleasantries.
Unpleasantries? It's as if harassment garners the same concern as a traffic ticket.
Of course not.
However,
It's not my intention to diminish the nature of these incidents.
Of course not. But since it's not a social call,
we have reason to anticipate escalation.
Have they contacted you?
That is privileged information.
Privileged? I'm being harassed. If it comes into my place of employment, I have a right.
Audrey, we understand that.
Have reason to believe that
you have an active social
you
life.
Engage in activities outside of the university, which
you have every right to explore.
The university does not discriminate against any racial, sexual, or religious identity.
Oh, of course not.
What are you saying?
Sam?
The university has received compelling evidence that there is a video recording of you engaging in behavior unbecoming of the university.
Unbecoming behavior? What am I doing, drinking at a college party?
Not quite.
Then what the fuck is it?
We anticipate that this video recording is currently being shopped around to various press outlets.
Press outlets?
We've discussed it with legal counsel and...
Who's we?
The board has been apprised of the situation.
Feel like apprising me?
In light of your sensitive situation, we are prepared to offer you an emergency leave.
We're halfway through the spring semester. I have 2 undergraduate...
We vetted some alternative instructors, a wonderful adjunct who's ready for...
The graduate seminar?
Yes, we feel that the remaining gender sexuality studies and Africana studies can share responsibility for the remainder of the curriculum.
I'm good at my job.
We're not disputing that.
The hell you're not. Every time I'm invited on television, radio...
The university is aware of your personal and professional achievements.
And this school profits from those personal and professional achievements to the tune of millions.
It's a sex tape, Audrey.
What?
The university has received compelling evidence that a person or group will release graphic footage of you engaging in sexual acts with another woman.
I didn't. I
While the university has no public position on your sexual proclivities, sexual orientation, or behavior, the Morals Code does grant institutional flexibility in handling your position in the event that you engage in public acts of depravity.
That's not a moral judgment, Audrey. It's just,
It's the explicit wording of the Morals Clause.
which is nearly 200 years old.
The office of the president and the board have discretion over situations such as these and therefore have.
Just a concern, Audrey, for you.
This is bullshit.
Audrey.
It shouldn't fucking matter if I did, but I don't happen to film my.
I would avoid refuting the evidence until.
Fuck you, Sam.
I didn't know what I was seeing at first, but it's very.
Explicit.
If it's a forgery, it's.
Convincing.
Show it to me.
The university is at liberty to withhold
Gordo,
this.
I can't go home. I'm sleeping on my best friend's couch. I've pressed on my ass dissecting tweets to determine whether I should be subjected to the horrors contained within them or if I'm the new poster child for liberal snowflake overreaction. If you called me into your office to fire me while you hide behind your lawyer, at least show me why. You owe me that much.
Gordo types on his laptop and turns it toward her. We hear just enough.
How long is this leave?
It's a fully paid emergency leave to cover the remainder of the semester and summer. The president's office, the board, and legal counsel have 4 semesters to determine permanent action.
Which should be ample time for me to tuck my tail between my legs, find alternative employment, and submit a letter of resignation.
There is a certain neatness to that course of action.
And if I press charges?
You'll find that the university has every right to this course of action and, in accordance with the morality clause, can end your employment without leave paid or otherwise.
Noted. But I meant against her.
The video seems to depict an entirely consensual encounter.
Doesn't matter who I consent to fuck on my own goddamn time. I didn't consent to it being filmed.
Audrey, we're very sensitive to how trying this situation must be for you, but the morality clause technically doesn't include provisions about such delicate matters.
Delicate matters. Do you mean consent, Wardle?
The university is pursuing the gentlest course of action, Audrey. It doesn't have to.
Sam extends an envelope to Audrey. She takes it. He holds on to the edge.
Your leave is effective immediately.
Sam releases the envelope.
Audrey, I'm so sorry. It's just.
Fuck you.
End.
Thank y'all so much. That was great. Our next piece is Not Yet by H. Harvey. Stage directions will be read by Ev. Chris will be played by Cyril. Ruby will be played by myself. PA will be played by Tim. And Waitress will be played by Zavi. Trigger warnings include brief suggestion of sexual acts and brief mention of miscarriage.
A fresh-faced young Black woman with a bright red flower in her natural hair waits on the stairs in front of Union Square.
Excuse me, miss, but are you Ruby? Ruby Watson?
Oh, are you Chris?
Yeah. I hope I'm not too late.
Sound, a resounding church bell.
No, you are just on time.
Cut to the inside of a restaurant. They sit across from each other at a slightly too small table.
Okay, same time?
Same time.
All right, and this one's a deal breaker for me.
No pressure then. 3, 2, 1.
Dogs.
Glad I got it right.
Me too.
Can I interest you two in some dessert? We have a fabulous peach cobbler.
I could go for a blackberry cobbler.
1 spoon or 2.
2.
Cut to Chris and Ruby walking down the street, arm in arm. They pass a bodega with a flower display.
1 second.
He darts in and returns with a bright purple flower. She beams at him. Cut to the next morning. Ruby is asleep in bed. As the floors creak in another room, she stirs. She looks over and finds the bed empty before padding out to find Chris with his headphones in, following a YouTube tutorial to make blackberry pancakes. Cut to Prospect Park. They jog together. Chris stops abruptly, doubling over and panting.
Just one small breather.
Ruby jogs in place while Chris begins to stretch out his hamstrings before collapsing to the ground.
It burns so much.
Come on, you can make it.
Go on without me. Tell my story to your children.
If you keep running, I'll...
She whispers something inaudible in his ear. Chris jumps up.
Second wind, meet Ruby. Ruby, meet second wind.
Cut to same small NYC apartment. They lay intertwined with each other.
This is easily the best 50-hour first date I've ever been on.
I've had better.
They laugh. Chris turns and kisses Ruby. Her eyes pop open, wide and glassy.
Oh, Chris?
Chris pops to his feet, stares. Sound, an espresso machine. Chris turns to look over his shoulder and look back. The bed is empty. He follows the sound into the living room and finds Ruby. Her hair is longer and wavier. She smiles and walks over to him and hands him a latte.
You spoil me.
Not as much as you spoil me.
Why don't I make you dinner? I know this great butternut squash dish.
You cannot cook your way out of this.
Mr. Wilson?
Not yet.
Sound, an espresso machine.
Not yet.
Ruby's back in the kitchen in her sock feet, making herself a latte.
Are you okay?
Let's get you that butternut squash.
Her eyes open, she begins breathing rapidly. She shakes in his arms.
Stay with me, Ruby. Just one more time. Just this last time.
Mr. Wilson?
Ruby screams as blood streaks down her thigh.
We're losing him. We're losing him.
Mr. Wilson?
Ruby laughs from behind him. He turns, sees Ruby sitting with a baby.
You're my miracle.
Mr. Wilson?
Not yet.
Not yet. Chris, go stand next to Junior. Let's get a picture of Mr. Football Champion and his daddy.
Mr. Wilson, neural map can't maintain link. Her brain is deteriorating too quickly. Prepare for emergency extraction.
There are many Rubies. One mourns her miscarriage. Another teaches their son to walk. One, from their first date, looks at him with concern.
Chris, are you okay?
I just want to say,
Mr. Wilson?
Chris sees a slightly older version of himself standing tall in a suit.
after our first date, I knew I wanted it to be the last first date in my life.
Chris steps in front of the alternate version of himself and looks down at Ruby, bright-eyed and joyful in her wedding dress.
3,
Please, not yet.
2,
Ruby stands on her tiptoes and kisses him.
I do.
1.
We're jerked through a distorted field, and the focus clears on a hospital floor. The nurse steps into frame and helps Chris sit up. He's a much older man now, and Ruby, also older, is catatonic before him on a hospital bed.
Just give me a moment with my wife.
The nurse leaves, and Chris presses his forehead to Ruby's. End of episode.
Thank you all. Our last piece is Letters to Milo by Mia Gogavia. Stage directions are read by Akemini, and Gigi is played by Ev. Trigger warnings include brief mention of police brutality and death.
One, North Brother Island, perhaps the dock. Gigi, a late 30s, early 40s scientist, wipes her brow and sits on a log. Her jumpsuit has an EPA patch. The noise in the background is a combination of nature sounds and murmuring of people going about their work. Gigi begins to write.
Dear Milo, it's beautiful out here. Inhospitable for certain, but I wish you could see it. Perhaps you could come out someday. It's not that far from you. I don't know how you would get this message. By carrier pigeon? It's a bird sanctuary. Did you know that? I know you love birds, and I'd like to take you to North Brother sometime, but it's closed off to civilians. So I guess I can only send you pictures for now. It looks like something out of a ghost story. There's an abandoned building, or two, or three, probably more, but they've been reclaimed by the vines and are therefore invisible. Kudzu, an invasive species probably spread by the wind or by the various colonial people who tried to pretty the place up for the inhabitants. Typhoid Mary was exiled here. Did you know that? They also used to keep mental patients and people recovering from addiction here. It was a hospital island of sorts, more like a penal colony, if you ask me, somewhere they'd put people they wanted to get rid of. Anyway, the kudzu's gone wild and attacks every building and tree in sight. I bet it's Mary's revenge. We'll have to clear the vines in order to keep the native flora alive, and it's a huge pain in the butt. Literally. One of my colleagues got poison ivy 2 days ago and it got infected and boily and everything. Ugh, can't really stand botany. I'd rather work on my beehive rather than get hives from plants, but it's part of the job, I guess. Anyway, I have to scarf down lunch and get back to work. Talk soon, Auntie G.
2. Gigi in her lab. Colleagues are leaving for lunch.
Dear Milo, we're back from our trip. I can't get you a bird feather like you asked. The birds are a protected species, so taking even a molted feather is a no-no. But I got you this stone instead. It's nice, I guess. I'll press some non-endangered leaves and flowers for you later. A laminated bookmark might be nice. I'll send you a list and pictures of the plants on the island, and you can choose which one you want. If you want flowers, just make sure your mom doesn't see it. You know how she gets about you and girly things. With love, Gigi.
3. Gigi's apartment. The space is bare and there are moving boxes stacked in the living room. Gigi is sitting on the floor, half in and half out of her beekeeper's outfit.
Milo! Haven't heard from you in a while. Is everything all right? Your mom said you were all having issues with mold and roaches in the house. Are you using your nebulizer? I know it's annoying, but you gotta take it. If you go to the hospital again because you didn't take your medicine, I'll come and beat you up. LOL.
A woman storms across the stage, slams a box onto the stack of boxes, and marches back out. Gigi rolls her eyes and goes back to her writing.
Anyway, I started my own beehive on the roof. Auntie's friend is moving out, so there's nobody to nag me about the legality of it. Don't be like me, but TBH, I don't care. Bees are good for the environment, and we'd all die off without them. She took half the furniture, so I'm writing this on the floor, but oh well. The bees are my new bay now. Don't tell your mom I said that. And at least I can make lots of local honey to send to you. Take a tablespoon each day to help with your allergies and soothe your bronchial tubes. I know you teenagers are all interested in the Snapchats and whatnot, but don't forget the fine art of snail mail. Write me back, Aunt Gigi.
Same apartment. The boxes are gone, and the space has some cheap bookcases stuffed with papers and scientific texts and lamps, but is barren of furniture. Gigi is still in her beekeeper's outfit. She's eating a sandwich and writing on a postcard.
Milo, how's Colorado? Less smoggy and gross? You breathing any better? Your mom said it'll take you a sec to get Colorado Medicaid, so I'm sending you some extra cash in the meantime. Take a few bucks and buy some local honey to help with your allergies. Boston honey isn't the best for you anymore. Big hugs, Gigi. P.S. Send me a postcard. I'll try and visit for Thanksgiving. P.P.S. Don't play in the river. It's not clean.
4. A series of texts. There are pings for text notifications.
Milo? 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 Everything okay out there?
Ping,
I'm okay. I wasn't around when it started. I'm in a totally different borough. Are you guys okay?
ping,
Good. I was worried the riots were spreading.
ping.
No, neither me nor your mother are in NHST, but the cops are jumpy anyway. So if you see one, you keep your hands.
Ping,
LOL. Pig emoji. I know you know, but
ping, 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 ping.
just be careful, okay?
5. The lab. Night. Gigi is alone at her desk, typing.
Dear everyone, hello. I'm Milo's Aunt Georgia. By now, many of you already know why I'm posting via his Facebook account, but just in case, I wanted to make sure everyone is informed. Yesterday afternoon at 4:15 p.m., Milo James Howard suffered a severe asthma attack on the bus home from school. Despite the efforts of the bus driver, attendant, and EMS, he slipped into a coma and was pronounced brain dead at the hospital. He was removed from life support just hours ago. Milo was a true wonderkin. Funny, whip smart, curious, wonderful penmanship. He loved flowers and insects and soccer. He was messy and gentle, and above all that, he was kind. He'd stick his neck out for anyone who needed him, and he once told me that true justice was kind. I've never met a more just individual. If only there were more like him. His mother has her hands full with funeral preparations, and I'm flying out tomorrow to join her. In lieu of flowers, please send donations to weact.org. I've attached the link and their mission statement below. I'll send you updates on his wake when I know more. All the best, Aunt Gigi.
Gigi presses send, closes her laptop. Beat. She begins sobbing, trashing everything in the lab, knocking things over, ripping papers, pushing computers off desks. Somehow, she trips an alarm. Lights flash and sirens wail, yet she doesn't stop until she rips a map of North Brother Island off the wall. A beat. She collapses to the floor and stares at the map. She can hear the sound of approaching footsteps, but she doesn't care. The door to the lab opens. It's flooded with light. Blackout. End of play.
Thank y'all so much. That was great. Before we start our community conversation, we're going to take a short break. Hello, everybody. We are back and we're going to get started with our community conversation. I want to invite anybody who is still in the Zoom to turn on their Zoom cameras if they feel comfortable. Hey, everybody. So as I mentioned, this month's theme is community, and I just wanted to ask everyone a couple of questions. But before we do that, I think we should just go around and people can say their names, their pronouns if they feel comfortable, any tidbits if they feel comfortable. And let's start with Tim.
Great. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with y'all tonight. So good to see y'all. My name is Tim Craig. My pronouns are he, him. And I'm happy to get into this community conversation tonight with y'all.
Right. I will go next. My name is Bianca. You, she, her pronouns. I am the current line producer here at BRTW. I'm also an actor. And yeah, I'm also really excited for our community conversation today.
I'll go next. Hi, I'm D-Way. I'm an actor and teaching artist, and I've done a few Melanated Mondays, and I'm happy to be back.
I'll go next. Nope, never mind. Hi, my name is Cyril Mampo. I use he, him pronouns. I'm an actor hyphen 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 hyphen. And I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited.
Hi, I'm Zavi Odetta. I use they, them pronouns. I'm an actor, director, writer, recent graduate. Um, this is my first Melanated Monday and hopefully not my last. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Ekemini Ekpo. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an actor and I'm excited to get into it.
Hi, I'm Ev. I use she, her pronouns. I do a lot of things. I guess acting is one of them now. And I'm from Georgia. And I'm super excited.
Great, 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 great. So I'm just gonna start off with a couple of questions and anyone can feel free to jump in and answer it. But my first one is, what do you consider to be community and how is it similar or different to other relationships in your life?
I can start. Um, yeah, I read this question. I had to think about it. I feel like the difference, I think, between community and just like general relationships is just how open the door is. If that makes sense. Like, I feel like in the communities that I try to find myself in and also try to create, the open door policy is a really big thing. It's like you can come in with whatever you've got. If you have nothing, you can still walk in and walk out, and there's no transaction necessary to do either or. And I think depending on if like how open the door is, how much you have to give, how much you have to receive, once things start to become transactional, you still have a community, in my opinion, you still have a community that way. But I think that especially artistically, the kind of come as you are, take what you can, leave what you can mindset really kind of sets the scene for me.
I think the first thing that occurred to me when I saw this question was that I think of most of the relationships in my life as like dyads. Like I have some sort of relationship with one other person, whereas community feels like having a bunch of people feels inherent to having a community, like a sense of being we're a bunch of people and we're a unit. We're not just an assemblage of individuals with relationships to with other individuals. We have some kind of relationship or allegiance or affinity with the notion of a whole collective.
Um, I hear you, Akimini. Thank you so much for that point. Um, Such a great question, Bianca. Community is, it seems like so many things. I think the first place that I start, I think when I was kind of really investigating what this question is, what is community? You know, we use it a lot. We see it a lot in our vernacular today. You know, I think the root word of community is basically to commune. And I think I try to start there, to commune. I think I asked my friend Queen Jean once. Queen was kind of in 2020. She was in the middle of being in the streets every single day, and I was said, "Hey, do you have time to speak to me for a second?" And I asked her, you know, as a civic rights leader, I said, "What is community?" And I will never forget her answer because it struck with me. It stuck with me and struck me. She said that community are the pillars of democracy. And that was so true to me uh, because it really holds things up. I think for me personally, community is the people in your neighborhood, your next door neighbor. You know, it can be your Dungeons and Dragon group that you're a part of, your dance group that you're a part of. So many aspects of community, but I think at the very root, it is to commune, and it's essential to life. It's essential to any kind of intelligent life, community. We see it in so many different cultures, species, community, to commune. I'll stop there.
Yeah, kind of building upon everybody's statements so far. I feel like when thinking about this question, I definitely had a moment and realized that community for me kind of exists outside closeness, if that makes any sense. Like I feel in community with people when the parameter is set for me or when we sit down and are like, okay, we are doing this thing now, we are together now. And regardless if I've known somebody for like 5 minutes or like 5 years, I just feel like this sense of community. Whereas in my relationships, particularly my friendships, it kind of takes a minute to even get to the level of friends without that closeness, without that like familiarity, which I think is really interesting, just because there are certain things that exist in both kinds of relationships, but like I find myself like I'll do the same things for my friends that I will with people in community, but like I need to know you for a certain amount of time to feel like we're friends, but not that way in community. So it's like this weird conglomerate that allows me to be there for people, I would say.
Thank you to everyone for sharing. That was really great. Kind of the uplift what everyone else was saying, like um Tim's point on like the act of communing and that also being like a pillar for like intelligent society and how it's something that we've always done um throughout history and across cultures and coming together. And I think there's something to be said about what happens in a community when you come together versus what happens just in a group that comes together. And for me, when you're in a community and you come together, you feel held, you feel like there's space for you to be, and that there is room for you to participate in a thing. And like, I think there's almost like a spiritual act to it that transcends the like physical actions of what's going on. Like you can call your workspace a community, or you can call like many like coming togethers of people communities, even though they are lacking that um I don't know, it's almost like a higher level of functioning where you are participating in something beyond yourself and you are contributing to something beyond um like you're contributing to something greater. And although there should not be that understanding of like a transaction, but I do think there's something to be said when we can, like you said, give what you can give and take what you need. But oftentimes we find ourselves in groups where people don't give or take more than what they need. And I think that kind of takes away from a community when it just becomes a gathering of people. And yeah, so there's something like, I don't know, it's like you're operating at a higher level when you're in a community. You're operating at a level of love and like openness and like acceptance where you feel seen, you feel held, you feel valuable, not just because of what you do or like, but because of like who you are and you're like essential in that. Yeah, that's, I don't, yeah, rough draft thoughts, but yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, D-Way. I think something that really struck me with what you said was just like this piece of like love within it, if that makes any sense. This is like I will feel a part of communities and not necessarily like sit and say, oh, I love everyone. Like I have like just this strong emotion, but like a lot of the actions that go into being a part of community, whether it's like directly contributing to it or just like showing up, is very aligned with like my concept, at least personally, of love. So I feel like that's really interesting intersection that kind of happens. I don't know if other people vibe with that. Cool, cool, cool. So if nobody has anything else to say, I want to move on to the next question. Um, do you think that community is something that is created or something that happens gradually, or is it maybe something in between?
Um, I think for me, when I saw this question, I was kind of thinking it's sometimes both. in a sense. Like I feel like sometimes there's sort of like communities where it's like you're kind of like forced to be there. And then sometimes there's like communities that like you found. And so, and I think sometimes forced communities can also become like those found communities, where, you know, it's like you're kind of thrust in this situation together. And then, you know, through getting to know people and like really kind of understanding like the way that the group operates as a whole, you have kind of a better understanding of people. And I think that those are kind of like my favorite sort of communities, where like, you know, you kind of go in not really knowing anyone, and then you start to like pick apart each person's sort of like personalities and like, you know, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's like community is just like this sort of like beautiful thing where it can really be, I mean, it looks different for everyone, I feel like. And so I would say it's like either, I mean, I would say it's like sort of like both those parts of like being created and also sometimes kind of gradually over time becoming more of a like cohesive unit.
I feel like, yeah, I think my answer to this question is either both, because I think maybe what I think is that most communities are the result of are fulfilling a need, whether that's like a real like, oh, we need to come together to so that we can collectively survive, or whether that's like a uh, we have this emotional need, or we have this kind of need to be in collective that we're trying to satisfy. And so I think, as far as whether community is created or happens organically, I think if someone can articulate this shared need that exists among a group of people, then I think that is how a community can be created. And I also think that if a bunch of people intrinsically feel this need that they haven't had fulfilled or satisfied, then they can also find each other in service of creating a community.
I would even go so far to say that like creation in and of itself, especially creating communities, is like organic and is natural. And it's something that is like essential, so essential to us that we don't always realize that we're doing it. But like that act of creating a community is something that happens organically. And I think when we try to, when we have the goal of maintaining a community or building a community, that's when we have to be intentional about like how we go about it and like be very like delicate and also like serious about it and really think about how best to move forward. And then that's when you get into more of like maybe those like left brain acts of creation, like logistics or like um things that feel a little bit more manufactured so that you can come back to that organic feeling and like vacillating between those two modes so that you can maintain something as well as like enjoy the fruits of it.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to agree with everything that's already been said. I think especially like as we're talking about just the organicness, which is not a word, but I'm gonna use it, of like the of building and creating community. I think even when I think about joining a community, coming from the outside looking in, or just being in the moment, it just kind of happens. And as somebody, like, you create a community and you say, we need this group of people, we need to support them, we're going to create this thing. And then when you create it, people might not show up, people might come in and just be like, I don't really know what's going on. So what you've kind of created is a circumstance, you've created a opportunity, but I don't think that the community piece of it really enters until it comes through organically. And I think that there are ways in which you can orchestrate and things in which you can do to kind of make it happen. I think that what everybody has already talked about, it's the feeling of, it's a soul feeling, it's a heart feeling, it's something that just kind of builds and builds into other people. And when you're sharing your soul and sharing pieces of your heart with other people around you, that is one of the most organic things I feel like we have. And so just like I think about it in the sense of like being on a stage or performing or something like that. That's a space where I personally will share a lot of my soul, a lot of my heart with people I have never met. And like we sell the tickets and we're like, come see the show. And that's just the opportunity to share in the community. And if they buy back into that, they're sitting in that audience, then we have built this community and then we go off and we never see each other again. But for that like 90 minutes or so, we had that real soul kind of connection, which I think is a really beautiful way. And it just happens and then it disappears and it might happen and stay longer. And that's just the beauty of it all.
Yeah, I think to go off of that, I feel like I personally am like a person that doesn't believe in like coincidences. I feel like everything truly happens for a reason. And like even like tonight, there's a reason all of us are here on this Zoom at this time, doing this right now. And I just feel like that's one of those things about community where it's like, everyone's sort of trying to find like their purpose and their role within a community. And it's like, why am I here with these people at this time? And, what can I do to, play my part and like support everyone in this space? And so I think that that is also, yeah, I don't know, just snaps for all of that. That's it.
To jump on to that, talking about support, there's just always that level of support that's given within a created community or a community that's just built organically. Someone mentioned earlier just being like thrown into a situation and that kind of turns into something that's created, or something that's like built off of, if that makes sense. But having support, at least for me, is one of the biggest things that's important to me when it comes to being a part of a community. And I don't know, the communities that I've found myself in or I've created for myself, just feeling that love and support from people that I know, people that I don't know. At the end of the day, it's one beautiful thing that I feel like everyone needs the chance to be a part of at some point in their lives.
There you go. This is like really beautiful thoughts and concepts. Like I feel very connected with pieces of what everybody has said. That being said, Zavi, I feel like this was a really good segue into my last question. So thank you. But what role has community played in your journey as an artist? And I'm gonna open that up to as a person, as a insert now here. Yeah.
Oh, that's another great question. I guess I'll try to make a beginning. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is the word understanding. And that's just community as an artist. There's so much understanding with um, what we do, how we do it, circumstances around our lives, circumstances around things always being changing. The community, and particularly the artistic community, is kind of like a web, and that over time, that web gets more unique. It becomes more elaborate in certain ways, and that's like a really a positive community. Becomes more elaborate over time, so you can kind of really um, find a foundation in it. But I think my role at the community, as my role as an artist, is lending a hand and creating some type of real understanding, and that's a big part of how it's played a role in my artistic life, as simply as I can.
Yeah, I would love to jump off that point of understanding is so deep because in my opinion, it transcends words and it transcends actions, it transcends like your normal ways of speaking. I had a director once say to me, like, when you're on stage, you want to make sure that people who aren't speaking the same language as you or who aren't doing those things can understand what you're saying. And I think that like that level of community is for me, it's such a hard thing that like I'll walk into a room and people just know, like if I'm in my community, it's like, okay, this is where you're at today, or like we can feel your passion, we can feel your sorrow, we can feel whatever it is. I don't need to say anything. And even if I do say something, the subtext of what I'm saying is gonna bleed through even more because of that level of understanding. Um, I also think it's a grounding like community for me in my artistic practice and my personal practice is a grounding thing. I am somebody who believes like if we were all meant to be on Earth alone, then we would be on Earth alone. But there's like billions of people around us, and so it kind of doesn't make sense to me to not use said billions of people. And so it really the connection of it all, I think, is super important to me, and it becomes grounding. It becomes purposeful, but it's effortless in that way. And we all put in effort into community, but it doesn't feel like work when it feels like community to me.
Snaps to that. I felt that. Um, a way that community has impacted my journey is really an inspiration. I feel so inspired by the people I've been like blessed to just even have access to or be in the vicinity of and work with. Like some people on this Zoom right now. And so like it was really crazy like going into spaces that felt like a community of artists because it's like, dang, I really like am friends with like my favorite artists. Like that's really crazy. Like that's such a blessing. Like that is so rare, I feel like, in the human experience. But truly feeling inspired and then being able to inspire others and like feel that sense of like value on my own life because what I offer is well received. And then I'm then able to like it's like a constant loop of like, mm, I lost the word for it, but it's positive affirmation, just like a constant loop of positive affirmation, and like, yeah, that's definitely been a major impact on my journey.
I'll say for me, I think a role that community has played in like my journey has definitely affected like my confidence. I feel like in the past, even within just like the last 2, 3 years, maybe like my confidence has just grown so much because I've been surrounded by people who like actually like care about me and like support me, which is like something that I had never really felt in the past. And so I think that that's one way that like community has really helped me a lot to like see my worth as an individual. And also I'm a person of faith as well, so even just like being surrounded by other people who like practice my faith and like really encourage me to like stay in my word and like see my worth as like a follower of Christ, I think also has just been so impactful to my growth as an individual, and to really see like my purpose in life. And I feel like in the past 2 years, the community that I have found has just really sort of shaped me into like a better, more whole sort of like person. So that's how it is.
I think when I think about the communities that I've had in my life, the biggest thing that comes up for me, I think, is a feeling of safety. Um, I think both as an actor or just as a person in the world, so much of my life is spent in performance or spent like in curating the way that I present myself to the world. And so when I think about the communities that are most precious to me, I think about spaces in which I feel like I can I can be like the basest, least impressive, uh, most dysfunctional version of myself, and those are, and I am safe in that.
I think for me, I know growing up, having stable community wasn't something that I had access to. And there were times where I'd be in different communities having to like prove myself and prove like that I belong in those communities. And growing up and becoming an adult and going to college, and being able to create those spaces for myself, um, really have opened my eyes to just seeing that everyone deserves to have a community where they feel safe and where they feel loved, and their emotions and opinions and thoughts are valid. So I'd say within the past couple years, surrounding myself with those kinds of people, have definitely like changed my perspective on being an adult and living this life post graduating college, and um, surrounding myself with people who share similar thoughts, and surrounding myself with people who look like me because I've spent a long time with people who don't. So, yeah, learning how to both build and be a part of um, functional and safe communities, have definitely been an interesting part of my artistic journey, I'll say.
Yeah, I feel like I really resonate with a lot of the things that everybody has said, especially in that, like, really holding on to communities in which you could be your most messy, your most average, your most whatever you are that day. Because I feel like just as Black people, but especially like as a Black woman, just being held to this like ungodly standard of being perfect and perfection and having this like face that you put on every day, and bring to work with you, to wherever you go with you, um, and like allowing yourself to be in a space where you don't have to hold on to that is just like really important to me. And I would say community is also the reason why like I started acting and like continue to act, because it was the process and being held and being able to like stumble through a character, stumble through a scene that like really allowed me to um open up to the material, but also open up to just standing in my truth, I would say. Like I feel like being able to understand another person and a fictional person allowed me to really understand a lot about myself, which is so interesting. And part of the reason why I continue to come back to acting, even though it's hard and it's weird and it's brutal and you don't make a lot of money. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like community kind of stands at the heart of everything I do and hope to do artistically. Does anybody have any final thoughts that they would like to share before we wrap up? No, cool, cool, cool. So I just wanted to open up this space for people to plug anything that they are working on, anything that they are excited about, or anything that you know that your friends or colleagues are working on and are excited about. Just because I feel like we don't always have a space to plug the actors here at BRTW. So here is your chance. Go crazy.
How we all just cooking? Like, stay posted.
Yeah, not the silence. We working. We gonna get back to y'all. We gonna get back to y'all.
I hear you. Y'all, it can also be, there's smaller projects, things that you work on, your own personal writings, things that you're reading right now that you're really interested in, from big to small, there is, it's all a part of the process. Remember that.
No, y'all, this silence is killing me. Let's see. uh, well, I I write like cultural criticism, and whenever I publish something, I usually post about it on my Instagram, and my Instagram is at e dot u dot ekpo. Yes, and that's all I have to say.
Kimmy, I'm gonna need you to put that in the chat because I need to read that.
I'll go next if it's silent. If you're in the New York area, in some coming months, there'll be some readings of a play that I've been working on going up. You can probably find the details on my Instagram if I remember to post about it, which is at Sienna Manfo, and this is where the big like this caption is. But yeah, and I'm also in a band, and you can stream our music at the Blackberry Poets anywhere you listen to music. If it's Pandora, Apple Music, Tidal, I don't know what y'all do, but you can find us there. Yeah.
Need it in the chat.
And both accounts too, indubitably.
I guess I'll go. I'm in the process of writing a musical. I'm writing a musical about Medusa. The Medusical, if you will. Uh, I'm also writing a novel, so I haven't talked about it on my Instagram, but I will at Zavi Odetta. We'll type it in the chat. So yeah, I also just moved to New Jersey, so kind of finding footing here, but yeah, cool stuff in the works.
Hi again. I am also writing a novel actually that inspired me. But I haven't really talked about it. And I probably really won't, but that's just something that I'm working on. So if anyone would be interested in being, a reader for it when I am finished and I'm ready for like, an editor, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I mean, if you want to follow me, I am about to move to Ohio for work, like community service based. So yeah, if you want to follow me on my Instagram, it's at the life of Evan. I will put that in um the chat box. Yeah.
Where in Ohio?
Oberlin.
Okay, not far. I'm Cleveland based.
Not far at all.
Not far.
Yes.
I'm a Cleveland based actor. So if you ever in Cleveland, hit me up. I don't know. I'm not a part of anything right now. So yeah, but I guess you could follow me at Foundiwe. That's FOUNDIWE on Instagram. I'll put it in the chat also.
Y'all, that's what it's all about. I mean, you guys are so incredibly talented. Harboring relationships and connecting with people is what it's all about. And, y'all are doing so much incredible things, and it's important. I want to put that into a tidbit, y'all. No matter where you are in the process, it is important to speak to your community about what you're working on. That means you're continuing to give life to it. You're continuing to give wonder to it. You're continuing to receive from it, and you never know what kind of conversation, what kind of energy you're going to receive from your community of artists who understand and are attempting similar things. And again, Toni Morrison had a process, and it was daily, and we speak on it and we manifest it. So everybody has a personal journey, and of course, it's different for everybody, but speak on it, y'all. Speak on it, and it will come to fruition right in front of you, day by day, no matter where you are in your process. So we thank you.
Yes, Tim, thank you so much for that. I just also want to give a special shout out to positive peer pressure, because it very much so gave quiet, and then every single person had something to share. So yeah, I just felt like I needed to say that because y'all, anyways, let me stop. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this Melanated Monday. Thank you to everybody at home who is watching on YouTube or anywhere else that you are watching it. You can catch us at our next Melanated Monday, which will happen in September. You could also keep up with BRTW at www.blackrevolutionarytheaterworkshop.org. That is theater with an R-E. And we are the BRTW on Instagram and Twitter. You could also find us on Facebook at Black Revolutionary Theater Workshop. Thank you all so much again. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you next time. Peace.